Hello everybody, what's here to you, and welcome back to Let's Play Tomb Raider Anniversary. In the previous episode, we defeated Larson once and for all. And today's episode, we'll be completing Natla's mines. So, without further ado, let's go back inside the building to turn on the blue fuse once again. Apparently don't know my colors. Alright, so, this is something that kind of bothers me about this game. It's not necessarily like a story thing or anything like that, but you've seen that cutscene that Laura was looking at her hands, and it's implied a couple times throughout the rest of the game that there's blood on Laura's hands from killing Larson. What kind of bothers me is you don't really see it, so it kind of doesn't really look like that. It just looks like she's looking at the palm of her hand, and I don't know. It just looks a little weird in my personal opinion. But I think the way they handled Larson's death in this game was much better than what they did in the original game. The original game was kind of silly. I will be demonstrating this on screen in a moment, but basically, Larson would show up out of nowhere at the ending of the Sanctuary of the Scion level, and not Natla's mines. And that's where you would have your final confrontation with Larson.
I still got a pain in my brain from you, and it's telling me funny ideas now, like to shoot you to hell.
So, yeah, there's kind of an anticlimactic way of killing off a kind of a big character in the game. And the thing is, Larson also played a bit of a role in the prequel game, Tomb Raider Chronicles. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how they changed up the role. And in fact, there is a character in this game who doesn't even appear. There's a character in the original Tomb Raider game that doesn't even appear in the Anniversary. So, the henchmen that Natla has in this game, we've seen Larson, and these two other characters named Kold and the Kid. Fun fact. Okay, also, this right here, this is where you get your 50 caliber bullets again. You also get your shotgun again from Larson. But fun fact, in the original game, there was this character who's like a cowboy. So he is the only character in the original game to not make any kind of reappearance in Anniversary. I don't know why they did this, but it's something that's kind of interesting. The way they handled those characters is also a little bit different as well, because you would face them all across Natla's mines and they'd appear out of nowhere. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but I just wanted to bring to attention to the fact that Larson had a much different role in the original game than he has in this one. He also had a bit of a different accent, for lack of a better term. I'm not entirely sure if that's the right word, but he sounded more like he came from Texas. Same with Natla. But they both have different accents in this game. It's pretty interesting. And also, I gotta say this. The lava texture in this game, it looks kind of cool and all, but this is something that I just randomly thought of one day, and it's kind of ruined the way the lava looks in this game for me. And I'm sorry, but it's probably going to be the same case for you. Okay, we died right there. Okay, well, that brings up something I guess I could point out about the original game that's also pretty funny. In the original game, when Laura died from the lava, she would just lie directly on top of the lava. Like, she wouldn't sink down or anything like that, but it was still pretty funny. And we died again. I'm terrible at this game, apparently. Hooray for jump cuts. Okay, what I was trying to say a moment ago was, I've always really liked how the lava looks in this game. But this thing I'm going to mention is just a random thought that I had one day when I was playing this game, and now I can never look at the lava the same way again. And I apologize, but that's probably also going to be the same case for you. The lava in this game looks like somebody tried making juice out of Cheetos. Like, just look at it. It totally looks like Cheetos. I'm sorry if I ruined the awesome look of the lava for you guys, but that's just something I wanted to bring to your attention, because I'm a terrible person, apparently. Alright, this is also one of the things that I think looks a bit better on the Xbox 360 version. I think the 360 version and the HD things in general, I think those versions, the lava also looks a bit brighter. That might just be me remembering it wrong, but that's how I remember it. Alright then, so now we have to climb out of this rocky area and jump this way. And we can see there's a pyramid off over there with a mysterious character that we've seen before, so it's not really all that mysterious. I wonder if there's a cutscene coming up. Yep, there is.
I was hoping you'd show up. I want to make you scream.
Unless you want to end up like Larson, get out of my way.
It's so good, isn't it? Gets even better. You can't explain it to people. They have to feel it.
Girl, you gotta be out of your mind! Not so hard now, are you?
She's mine.
So now that we've done that, we now have all of our weapons back. And I'm going to take this time to explain something real quick. Well, first of all, let's probably explain what we do in this area. So we have those constellation puzzles like we saw in San Francisco Folly way earlier in the game, and we have these solutions right here. So, yeah, it's not that difficult. But something I want to talk about is what those guys were like in the original game. The kid would fight on a skateboard. So, yeah, he was kind of like a dork in that game. And Kold, he didn't have a knife in that game. He used the shotguns. So yeah, those enemies were a bit difficult in the original game, but in this one you just fight them through an interactive cutscene. So it's a little disappointing, but it's still pretty interesting. And I'm going to go into a bit of a backstory between those characters now, because if you just play through the game and don't actually look at the lore of the Tomb Raider series, you're not really going to know much about those characters. But if you've been looking for artifacts and relics and all that good stuff, then you'll be able to find this information. This is the way I want to go for two first. But you unlock character bios as you collect more of the secrets in this game. I'll be sure to go into more detail about this in bonus episodes towards the end of the Tomb Raider Trilogy project. But basically, in the descriptions it says that kid, he came from, I believe, Los Angeles, and he was part of a gang that Kold ended up murdering. But Natla told them to keep the kid alive so that he could have a contact in the Los Angeles criminal underworld or whatever. So that's something that's pretty interesting. And apparently the kid held a big grudge against Kold for murdering his gang. And fun fact, when I first read that, recently when I first read that, I'd read that the same day that I saw Logan the first time. So when I read that, I was imagining the scene at the beginning of Logan when Wolverine kills all those gang members. So that's what I was imagining when I read that. But enough about that, because now we're going into the gameplay of this area. So this pyramid may look a little familiar, because if you've been paying attention to the relic designs, if you've been paying attention to the artifact designs, then this is what it's supposed to be a reference to. I hope that makes sense. I probably worded that a little bit weird, but whatever. So what we want to do is we're going to climb across this pyramid to activate these column thingies they have to jump across of. And I'm so glad they included a mechanic like this in the game, because when I first saw this gameplay mechanic in the trailers for this game, I was really hoping there'd be a room like this, and I'm so glad there actually is, because this is just so much fun. That being said, if you mess up on a jump, you are gonna have to backtrack a little bit. But it's not like this is a huge area, so if you do fail, it's not like you're gonna have to play through like half the level or whatever. Alright, so let's jump across here. And how many more of these doing things we have to deal with? Not very many. Okay. And jump. You don't have to stay on top of them forever for them to stay activated. So that's something that's pretty nice. There's probably like some super amazing speedrunning tactic for dealing with this area as well, but I'm not talented enough to do that. And with this run, we have to be quick. Let's jump up here, and we have to climb across here because apparently this rock over here is special, and we're not allowed to climb across it apparently. But yeah, this is what I was talking about a moment ago. The artifact designs, I believe it's supposed to be based off of the pyramid in this room. Like you can see, it's shaped like a pyramid. The arrow part of it kind of looks like the doorway of this area, so that's something that's pretty well worth mentioning. To be completely honest, I didn't even realize that was supposed to be the case until, like, a couple weeks ago. That's especially sad considering the fact that I already Let's Played this game. I believe we activated all the switches, so now that we've done that, we turn on the neon for the pyramid. Ooh, and the doorway of our destiny opens. And with that, we're getting this video off here, so thank you all so much for watching this video of a Tomb Raider Anniversary. In the next episode, we'll be going inside the pyramid. And until next time, let's gear to you. Oh yeah. Before we wrap up today's video, there is one more thing that I want to mention real quick. This is what Kold was like in Tomb Raider Anniversary.
I was hoping you'd show up. I want to make you scream.
And this is what he was like in the original game.
Say cheese!
You were good, but I'm something special.